Diamond P Sports presents championship drag racing from the National Hot Rod Association, the Springnationals. Brought to you by Fram, makers of oil, air, and fuel filters, windshield wipers, and Autolite spark plugs and tune-up kits. And by Anheuser-Busch St. Louis, brewers of world-renowned Budweiser. When do you say Budweiser? And by Cam 2 Motor Oil. You know it's tough, and you love it. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and this is National Trail Raceway near Columbus, Ohio. This 13th annual NHRA Spring Nationals has attracted over 600 race cars from throughout the United States and Canada. Today, we'll be taking a look at the broad cross-section of drag racing that makes up NHRA championship racing. Also today, we'll take a look at a champion that's been down on his luck, and explore the reasons why. Joining me here today at National Trail in the Spring Nationals is one of drag racing's best-known personalities, Steve Evans.
David, it's great to be back in the lush green countryside of central Ohio. Today's action is going to include the Pro Comp category. It's the newest in the NHRA lineup, the only one of the Sportsman categories that races on a heads-up basis. Tremendously popular with the racers and the fans because of the variety, all heads up. Here you see a dragster, a front engine machine. There's no supercharger, so it's allowed to use the potent nitromethane fuel. Only without a supercharger or a blower can you use nitro in Pro Comp. Moving along to a supercharged dragster. The class officially called AA alcohol dragster. The racers like to call them AA bads. It's a supercharged motor, but limited to straight alcohol in the fuel tank, no nitro. They use an extra gear in the transmission to make up for the lack of raw horsepower without the nitromethane. This same type of motor, as we see in the AA bad dragster, also in this funny car. Virtually identical, same transmission setup, alcohol again in the tank, but the funny car is allowed to weigh a little less. And the fans really love it when the alcohol dragsters and the alcohol funny cars meet each other on the starting line, heads up in Pro Comp. Let's meet some of the guys that drive these cars.
Dale Armstrong, Torrance, California.
Always the man to beat. Has won the category in every class imaginable. Two-time U.S. Nationals champion, 76 world champion.
I'm Tom Ridings from Long Beach, California.
A 22-year-old student, Ridings is a protege of Dale Armstrong. Only racing a year and a half, qualifying #1 is the achievement of his career.
Don Gerardo, Monroeville, Indiana.
1974 produced a competition eliminator U.S. Nationals title for Gerardo. He stepped up in '75 to the World Championship in Pro Comp.
My name's Simon Menzies, and I'm from Torrance, California.
Simon began his career as a car owner for Dale Armstrong, later took to the cockpit, and with this brand new Corvette is looking for his first national title. We'll see those drivers and more in action when we come back.
Let's kick off the action of this 13th annual NHRA Spring Nationals with the first round of Pro Comp Eliminator. The first pair of cars we see, that classic struggle between funny car and dragster, both of them utilizing methanol for fuel, supercharged engines. It's Joe Amato in the funny car from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, and Dale Armstrong from Torrance, California. Leaving the line together, Armstrong beginning to pull a bit of a lead. And crowd favorite Dale Armstrong taking a big win in the first round. The time for Dale Armstrong, 6.87 seconds. As we watch in slow motion, you see Joe Amato starting to drift around on the track. That causing just enough of a delay in his time to allow Dale Armstrong to pull about a 1 to 2 car length lead at the finish and take the win at a speed of over 202 miles an hour. Joe Amato holding top speed of the meet at over 209 in qualifying, going out in the first round to Dale Armstrong. Another matchup of dragster versus funny car. Here's the low qualifier, Tom Ridings. He's from Long Beach, California, from Granby, Connecticut, with the front engine dragster. One of the few in competition today is Dale Hall. A great start for Dale Hall, and this is a close race. And Dale Hall takes the win, upsetting the low qualifier. Hall with his small block Chevrolet-powered front-engine alcohol-burning dragster. You see it right there, just a bit of a head start at the starting line, and that's enough to give him the win. The times for Dale Hall, 6.91 seconds elapsed time. Here at the finish line, you'll see what difference it makes. As they come to the finish line, Dale Hall just a wheel length ahead. Tom Ridings a quicker time at 6.83 seconds. Hall getting out of his fire suit, awaiting the word from his crew to determine who won the race. Dale Hall from Granby, Connecticut. The next pair of cars, the world champion from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Brent Bramley in the dragster, Simon Menzies in the Corvette funny car. Power of Simon Menzies pulling out the win, 6.83 seconds, his speed 198 miles an hour. You see he had Brent Bramley, the world champion, defeated by a little over a car length at the finish line. In this pair, two funny cars, Williams and Bowl, J. Marlis Williams from Chelsea, Michigan, against London, Ontario, Canada's Frank Hawley and the Hawley family. Side by side, two of the finest funny cars in Pro Comp streak to the finish line. And it is Frank Hawley, the Canadian, 6.84 seconds, 200 miles an hour. He had a big lead over J. Marlis Williams at the finish line. The only altered in competition in Pro Comp Eliminator here at the Spring Nationals, driven by Ron Boggs, hometown boy from Columbus, Ohio. His competition, Don Woosley from Winchester, Kentucky. Woosley, a former Sports Nationals champion. Boggs aiming for his first national event title with that short wheelbase roadster, and really a crowd favorite here at the Spring Nationals. With a big victory in round number one, 6.73 second elapsed time. That's the low ET of the first round of eliminations, and you can see him just pulling away from Don Woosley. Boggs recording 201 miles an hour at the finish line. Dennis Forcelli from Minneapolis, Minnesota, driving his AA dragster on alcohol against the funny car, Dick Titsworth from Sylvania, Ohio, also supercharged, running methanol for fuel. Both cars inching into the staging beams, getting ready for that head start. Side by side, they leave the line together. At the finish line, a tremendous race as Dick Titsworth takes the win, 6.82 seconds to a losing 6.89 seconds for Forcelli. Here you can see in stop action how close it was, just a few inches separating the two cars as Dick Titsworth advances into round two. This is Terry Yates from Rochester, Indiana, doing his burnout. All these cars in competition doing burnouts. He's matched against the funny car of Don Gerardo out of Monroeville, Indiana. In slow motion, we'll watch the alcohol-burning dragster do the burnout. You can see the tires grow in height as the centrifugal force spins them out and the smoke coming off them as the rubber begins to burn and get hot, providing the traction necessary to put these cars through a quarter mile at over 200 miles an hour. Yates and Gerardo side by side at mid-course. Gerardo pulling out the win at the finish line, 6.80 seconds elapsed time. His speed a whopping 206 miles an hour for Don Gerardo of Monroeville, Indiana. The final pair in round number one, Butch Osmond out of Leavittsburg, Ohio, is matched against Robert Gottschalk from Toledo, Ohio. Here you can see both drivers pulling their mounts into the staging beams. The tree will go green, they'll leave the line together. Let's watch. Finish line, Butch Osmond from Leavittsburg, Ohio, taking the win, 6.89 seconds. His speed, 197 miles an hour. And Robert Gottschalk trailing by about 2 car lengths. In slow motion, you can see how close the racing is as they leave the starting line together. And actually, most of the race is not decided until past the midway point here at the Spring Nationals. Electronics plays a big part in all of drag racing. From the electronic ignition systems used on many of the cars in competition here at the Spring Nationals to the Christmas tree that every driver sees on every run. Steve Evans, tell us about it.
Thank you, Dave. As every drag racer approaches the starting line, he's greeted by this incredible maze of lights and wires and relays known as the Christmas tree starting system. As his front wheels approach the starting line, the Christmas tree accomplishes its first function, that is the pre-stage, to tell the driver that he's within inches of the starting line. As he creeps forward, then the stage light comes on. He locks the brakes up right there and waits for the start. For the heads-up eliminators of Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, and even Pro Cop, it's pretty simple. There's a flash of this yellow light, 0.4 of a second later, green. Should the driver try to anticipate the light, leave too soon, then it's a foul start and automatic disqualification. For the handicap sportsman eliminators, well, it gets a little more complicated. So that many different types of cars can be combined into one eliminator, NHRA has devised what they call an index system, where every handicap sportsman class is assigned an elapsed time index, the standard for the class nationally. Let's just say in competition eliminator. In this lane, we have an A dragster, an A-class dragster, the index being 7.65 seconds. In this lane, a C-class dragster, the index here being 8.45 seconds. In the timing tower, those elapsed time index are dialed into the computer system. It does the mathematics. The starter activates the tree, and down it comes on a staggered start. The slower of the two cars, in this case the C dragster, leaves first. It's then up to the A dragster to play the catch-up game that is so exciting with the fans. We'll be back to see some of that handicap racing right after this message.